And even when I start thinking, oh, I'm like, one day I will build my house in America.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was like, hey, man, have you seen an African build their own house? Why don't build back home? I'm like, my home is here now.
Yeah.
I will build one day. So it's like, Oballa, where will you get that kind of money? Do you know it's cost too much? I'm like, I will work for the money.
Yeah.
In America, you just work, know?
Yeah.
And, but at the end of the day, those friends now that when I bought my land, I'm like, hey, I'm going to buy a land. And then it's like, where? Back home? I'm like, here in America. He's like, this kid, you are too much with everything. Where will you get the money? I'm like, hey, I pull out my receipt. I'm like, done. I bought the land already. So, and then I will build my own house because my wife always wanted, she's like, when we buy a house, I want my design to be like this, to be like this. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build a house for my family.
Yeah.
So, and guess what? We started from foundation.
Yeah.
Now we have our own home.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Oballa Oballa and I. You're now tuned with Edition Podcast. And like I told you, man, we are back. Had to take a month off. Mental clarity. Just got to go back into my creative mode. And Chris ran away on me. I think he went on vacation and didn't even tell me. So that's kind of crazy. Today in the building, we got a very special guest, man. I've been trying to get this guy on the podcast for a while now. I've been chasing after him. Oballa, when you coming through? Oballa, what's going on? So he's here today. Very special guest, like I told you. Here's some of his credentials that he is known for. Just what I know. I know there's way more. So he is the senior team leader for Hormel, where he is holding it down. He's also the community engagement for the Girl Scouts, not Girl Scout cookies, Girl Scouts over there in Austin, Minnesota. Former president of LeadMN. He's also a very positive individual. First black city councilman of Austin, Minnesota in 2020, and just 3,000 more other words. I can go all day about that, but here he is, Oballa Oballa, first name, last name. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming. I know it's a drive out here, so thank you so much. Usually speaking engagements like we're talking about earlier, you want. Thank you for taking it for, this road trip for me. But for my podcast, why I interview people is I try to find people that are doing something in the community, someone with a positive change, someone that can share knowledge with people that people can take away from it as a positive. Instead of all the negative stuff that they have out there, they can look at this interview and be like, okay, you know what? I like what Oballa does. Maybe I want to get involved, and then make that an outlet for them, to get educated and also for networking events. So thank you so much for what you do. So first thing I always ask my people is I want to know a little bit about your background. I want the people to know who you are, right? So what is your story? Tell us where you're from, where were you born? Where'd you come from? Your background.
Well, thank you, Gole, for inviting me here. As he said, my name is Oballa Oballa, and I always go to all event. I will ask people, is anyone have the first and last name the same? I'll look around the room, and if I see no one raising their hand, I will be, yep, there you go. This is only me, Oballa Oballa. Make it easy.
Yeah.
So, my name is Oballa Oballa. I was born in Gambela, Ethiopia, and during early child age, it's just swimming in the river all the time until genocide happened. And then we had to flee the country in Gambela, Ethiopia in 2003. And then we seek a refuge in the refugee camp in Kenya.
In Kenya. Okay, gotcha. And how long were you in Kenya for in the refugee camp?
We were there for almost 10 years.
10 years.
Yes.
Wow, man. That's that's insane because I never got, I was never in the refugee camp, but from what I see, it's a very hard life, where at least from my understanding, you can give a little bit more background. There's food's always rationalized. There's people like, I don't know if it's the UN or some government agency that give food, and sometimes they might not come in time. Tell us about that lifestyle in there.
Yeah, life in refugee camp, everyone you're living like what will happen tomorrow, and always we depend on some people that, you never know if they will show up tomorrow. We depend on UNHCR providing food, and other NGOs. So there is water scarcity, and there's a food insecurity because, and throughout my life, if you eat a meal a day, that you're lucky. Sometimes you can go, one day without even eating anything. But overall, living in the refugees give you hope. You know, there's a better life for tomorrow. Because for someone like me who ran away from a genocide, you know, it's better to live in a refugee and die of hunger than you get slaughtered in your own country.
Yeah. Wow, man. Yeah, it's always some sort of civil war or something that's causing, which we got to stop doing that. It's getting old now. Like, there's no positive benefit to it. Come on. Who's ever watching this, stop that, man. But I was trying to do research on you, you know? I'm like, okay, what can I find out on Oballa, you know? I called your sister. I'm like, give me some information on your brother that might be interesting. She gave me a little thing. So shout out to your sister, OD, out there in Atlanta now. But I was looking through your Facebook, going to a lot of Africans. If you guys don't know, we utilize Facebook a lot, right? That's our number one platform. So I saw a picture of you. You know, I'm going to put it on the screen. I have it, Chris. You're going to get it. You were, you know, had your legs crossed, and I think you were holding your head. And the caption was, you know, something about, I believe it was in 2006, where you were beat on by a student that was permissible by the teacher because you didn't spell a word correctly, right?
Yes.
Can you give us a background of that? That's kind of crazy.
Well, thank you for, you know, I always remind myself when I see that picture and then remind myself how far I was, because I grew up in a country whereby education is not prioritized for, especially for my tribe.
Yeah.
And running from genocide, that's where I actually go to a class, you know, under a tree in a refugee camp. So the picture you are talking about actually was a day after I went to a class, and then all the kid in the class was second grade, and I was 11 years old, and the teacher was, you know, doing, you know, some it's called dictation, or what we call it back in Africa, dictation, whereby a teacher will say a word and then a student will spell it. So the word crocodile came up, and then it's like, who can spell crocodile? So I'm like, well, I know crocodile. That should not be just go croc and then do a dial, you know? So, yeah. And then everyone spelled it. They spelled their own word and then come to me now. Oballa, spell a crocodile, you know? And as a young man, I'm the only biggest kid in the room. You know, I'm very confident, you know, because in my head, it sound correct. Crocodile. I just said croc and then dial. So that was like no word. And then there's a kid sitting next to me, 9 years old, a Somali kid. So it's like, woo, Oballa, that's wrong. So I'm like, how did you even know that? I'm not done. It's like, it's wrong. So the teacher was like, okay, what do you think is the correct spelling? He stood up. I didn't know you have to put something WC or he spelled a crocodile. And I'm like, okay, what next? So, and in Africa, this is the bad thing about Africa education, you know, especially in a refugee camp. If you are a kid who behind, I will use the word like, if you don't know a lot of things, you will get beat every day. I will use the word that every kid out there can know. Your ass will get whooped. So in Africa. So the teacher was like, well, Oballa, you missed it. You get 3 stroke of, you know, a big cane. This kid come up. I'm like, put your hand there. He whooped me. And then I lay down and give me another 3. So, and then just because misspell the word. So I went home and then I told my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I get beaten today. Then my mom tell me the same thing. Well, you'll get beat tomorrow again because you have to read. Stop playing soccer. Soccer will not help you. But soccer is the only thing that move us through the day in the refugee camp. So I quit soccer for a week.
Wow.
And then I stood there. I get my first picture to remember. Today I will be a lawyer one day, or a teacher, or anything, or a politician. So, and that picture I carried for the next 10 years I live in refugee camp. I put it in my book everywhere I go.
Wow. Man, so I used to get whooped too, but mine is because I would show up late sometimes, you know, because back in Gambela, it was 2 bells. It goes ding, 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 ding. That's the first bell. Like, hey, you got probably like 15 minutes to get for the second bell rings. And you had to put out your hands, or they used to whoop you on your back. And if you don't want to get whooped, you try to skip school. But that's not a good thing, because back in Africa, it's a community, you know? I'm like, hey, I saw your kid. Why wasn't he in school? What? Then you get whooped again back at home. So that's interesting. Now, in the refugee camp, you know, you said, I was like, again, you know, doing my research, I saw that, you know, you guys got accepted for a resettlement application, you know, back in, I think it was 2008. How long did that process take before you guys came into where everything, they're like, okay, you guys are good to go. Come on now, you know, come to America?
Yeah, the process in refugee camp, it varies from every family, depend on your cases, because people ran to refugee with different cases. Some ran with genocide, some ran with, insecurity within their own country. So ours, we got our resettlement in 2008, around 2007, close to 2008. It took us almost 9 years, 8 years and a half before we actually get complete everything, because we get our first interview, we are so excited in 2008, and then your name was posted, but after that, a year by years thing is going backward, and that was a good thing, because in a refugee camp, if your name posted, now you will not leave the refugee camp, because you have a hope that hey, I will go to America. It doesn't matter if it is 20 years from now, 10 years from now. So it took us almost close to 8 to 9 years before we eventually come here.
Okay, and then when you come here, where was the first place that you guys lived, or where did you land?
Well, we first landed in Washington, and then we end up in Silver Spring in Maryland. So and that is where my American life started. So I didn't know this thing called snow it will just fall from nowhere. A white rain that you don't even know. So and I'm like, in
White
Africa
rain.
we have like
Pea. What is it
pea. It's
called?
called pea.
Hail.
Hail in
Yep,
here.
hail.
So
Yep.
and when hail come, you have to run because it hit you in the head.
Yeah.
So, but it's not as hard as this one here. So my first snow, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. So my second week, I fall in the snow, and I thought, because during our rotation, when you get hurt in anything in America, you call 911.
Yeah.
So I fall in the snow, and then I slip. And then I had to call 911 because my knee was swollen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Guliato Banger Boy. Like I told you guys, I'm bringing a special segment to Edition Podcast, and we're going to be highlighting a lot of Black and minority businesses. And this week's episode of Edition Podcast is brought to you by Afro Grind. Shout out to my guy, Omar. This is my first promo code that we're using. Use promo code ADD to get 10% off and free shipping. We got coffee from Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia. He also got grinders and everything, man. So just use code ADD to get your 10% off and free standard shipping, baby. Holla at your boy. Yeah.
So the dispatcher, I called them 911. So this is Oballa. I just fall in the snow, and my leg is swollen up. They're like, is your leg broken? I'm like, no. But it's just swelling. It's painful,
Yeah.
They're like, well, we're not gonna come for that. I'm like, how? I thought in America you call 911 for anything.
everything, yeah.
So they're like, it will be too expensive. So I hang up, and then I call again. With African mentality, you think the last person you spoke with,
Yeah, it's gonna give you
they don't like you. So I call again. I
Yeah.
didn't know the rule is the same.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, just put the ice on your knee. It will go down. I'm like, I fall in a ice. How will ice help me? Because no one told me about that. So
Yo, that's crazy.
I did not. So in 10 minutes, the police show up.
Yeah.
They have a ice pack, and then I put it on. They're like, in 10 minutes, it will go down. 10 minutes, my leg went down. I was good. I'm like, whoa. Okay. So since then, I learned that's my new beginning in America. I learned that you will not call 911 for something like that.
Yeah, the first time I ever got an encounter with 911, I broke somebody's window, because you know how we used to kill birds with rocks and stuff?
Yep.
There was a bird sitting by somebody's window, but I was young, I was dumb.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I'm about to kill it. And I threw it, and it missed, and it bounced, and it broke it.
Wow.
Now, the cop, like the lady called the cops.
Yep.
And then when the cops came, I was just like, I tried to kill the bird, and they're like, you can't be throwing rocks at
Yep.
by people's windows, man. You're not back at home. So that's actually funny. So there's something that I saw. There's like, and when you come to America, everyone gives you a dream, the dream, right?
Yes.
In your perspective, what was the American dream? What was that when you thought about America?
Yeah, when I was back in a refugee camp, my mom will always tell me, Oballa, we may be struggling now, but I heard people saying, when you go to America, you can be anything. So a dream is like, when you go, America is a land of opportunity. If you go there, you humble yourself, you work hard, you can be rich. You can make your own money, because I never had a job before whereby I'm making my own money. So the American dream was getting an education.
Yeah.
An education that can take me get a better job. So I had that in my mind like every day. But when we landed here, I didn't know that I will face some obstacles.
Yeah.
Because my caseworker, who's supposed to be our backbone to tell us like everything, she told me, Oballa, you are turning 20 next week, because we landed here in December, and then January 1 all African refugee birthdays change it. So she's like, you will be turning 20, you're not going to any high school. I'm like, what? I thought in America you can go, because in Kenya there's no age limit.
Yeah.
You are 98, you can still go to high school.
Okay.
So and then she's like, no, it's different from here. So, and she's like, there's a job in Baltimore, and in an onion factory whereby I pay you $7. That's a good money, you're new, that's good money. I'm like, no, I didn't come here to work in an onion factory for $7, because I don't know how to speak English.
Yeah.
I don't know how to speak American English. I want to learn. I don't have GED. I don't have high school diploma. So I disagree with her, and then and that's how the process start. Because I want the education. I want to be able to speak for myself. So that's how I see American dream is getting an education that can support you and give you a better life. Because without education in this country, you will not get a lot of opportunity outside. Because the first thing you apply for a job, what level of education?
You got, they do ask a lot of that. So that is true. Like this job that I have right now, when I graduated in college, December, like 16 is going back to 2017. Like it's about to be 2017, and I put 2017 in my application till something, and they checked the background. They're like, "You sure you graduated?" I'm like, "Listen, I got the diploma up there somewhere. I got a bachelor's degree." So I go send them. I'm like, "Yeah, it's right here." But it's true that some companies, they go and check to see if you're telling the truth.
Yep.
And it's very important to have a background, and for the kids out there that everyone, I don't know if it's a trend that no one likes school, I guess, that a lot of kids I see, school's not for me. I want to be a business guy, which is good. That's not bad. You don't have to go to school, but school, when you have that education, is something that you can't take away from you. You always have that.
Yeah, I have a response to those, because I've been, trying to, especially new immigrant when they come to America. The first thing I tell them, college may be not for everyone, but you going through your first, level of education, finishing your primary, which is, the level from grade 1 to 8, or, from down to high school. Those are very important for you, because after that, if you finish your high school and you have some sort of documentation that show that you have a high school diploma, because if you finish a high school diploma, you can write your name, you can do your own application.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have those sort of, education, because without that, you cannot be a business man if someone else is running your business.
Yeah.
So you have to know who is running your business and what they're doing.
Absolutely. So if you don't want to go to school, there's trade schools. There is, trade school. Learn how to work with your hands or something. But your brain, I guess, is the most, I personally believe is the most important one, because you can't, can never take away. But the message, you always have a message. I saw in the picture, again, it goes, a message to the refugee camps to never give up on their dreams. Now, what I want to ask you is, since you came here, you're making a life for yourself and you're working your way, you still got a bright future ahead. You never know where you're going to end, right? If that is, your message to them, how are you going to help them? You know how a caseworker gave you a chance, and you guys got lucky with the case to come here. What is your, what are you going to do, to help them to never give up on their dream? I wanted to ask you that personally.
Yeah, that's really good question. And then and I will speak to our audience back then, those kids back in the refugee camp. So if you're still in a refugee camp and you have a process or a resettlement that telling you, hey, you will come to America, don't lose that hope. And it doesn't matter how old you will come to this country, because some of you that I know, they've been in the refugee camp for almost 20 years, and almost 20 something years. The biggest thing, keep that hope. And when you come here, take advice from those people who have lived the experience. And when you arrive here, it doesn't matter. Follow the rules. And when you follow there's no shortcut in America. You cannot go shortcut in America. In this country, you cannot play smart, because America control everything. So, and you can be anything. So my message to them out there is like, your dream you are the one who will create your dream. If you don't create your own dream, there's a lot of company that will create their own dream based on you. And they're doing a lot with a lot of immigrant when they move here. When you don't know English, they be like, hey, work there, and then I will make someone look at watch over you. So create your own dream, and your own dream is start from finding that education. Learn how to spell your name. Don't be like Oballa, who get whooped because of misspelling crocodile.
Yeah, no, that's great. So that's awesome, so never give up, and follow the rules. I think it's hard for a lot of people to do sometimes, but there's a lot of consequences that come with some of your actions in life too. Whenever you have, for every action, there's consequences to it. It might not be right there, but sooner or later you'll get caught. And if you're a man, you can accept those, but not a lot of people can. So that's awesome about your background that we touched on it. Now I want to get to the things that I believe is, people can take away from your background too, right? But now from what you experience here, right? Basically like the leadership aspects of things, being in that, going to do speaking engagements, being in, in the political world. Now for leadership, everyone has their own definition. So I want to ask you, what is your definition of a leader, and what characteristics does like a good leader have, compared to a bad one,
I always, I don't define myself as a leader. I define myself as a public servant, and the reason why I say that, a leader is someone that people would say, hey, he's our leader. But I don't see myself as a leader, because I just want to get to work with people. I can be sitting at the back there and then let people in front of me, open the door for the next person. But the biggest thing in being in a leadership or in any political organization is like, know who you are and know who the community is. So know who the family that you hang on, know all your friends. What are they struggling with? So if you can define those problems and look away, because my mom taught me not to complain. She's like, if you complain, who will do it? If you see a problem, go try to fix it. If you don't fix it, ask, So that's why if I see a problem, I try to go and see it, because my first day in Austin, I moved in Austin in 2015, and then I lived there almost 3 months. And then after that, I started asking our refugee who are there, my uncles and other people, who are the mayor here? Who is our mayor? And then they're like, oh, well, we don't know the current mayor, but we know another mayor from 15 years ago, or she's no longer the mayor. And then I'm like, who is the chief of police? They're like, Bala, you start asking some question that you're not supposed. You've been in Austin for only 3 months. What do you want with police? Because in African, most in African, especially in immigrant, anything you mention about the police, you are in trouble, and you're looking for something that, what can I do to get out of it? I'm like, I'm not in trouble. I just want to know who are our leaders here, because community form of all can be city council, our policemen, and that. So no one told me. And then I walked from my apartment, took me all of 45 minutes from my apartment, Mendeland apartment, to the city hall, because I Googled it, and then I didn't have a car. I show up in the city hall, and then I ask the clerk, I'm like, I'm here to see the mayor. And then she's like, do you have an appointment? I'm like, really? No, I don't have an appointment. She's like, well, to meet with the mayor, you have to have an appointment. I'm like, no one told me that, because in Africa, you just show up, you just show and wait there. So I'm like, can I make a point? She's like, yeah, you can come back next week. I'm like, take a whole week to see the mayor? Don't he work here? Can I wait? She's like, no, you cannot just wait. So come back next week. So I came back the following week, and I show up 2 hours early. That's why I show up to your place today.
I text this guy. I'm like, yo, Oballa, what's your ETA? He's like, I've been here for 35 minutes. Yo, don't do that, man.
So I show up 2 hours early. The mayor is even like 45 minutes away from town. And then she's like, Oballa, do you have 2 appointments? I'm like, no, the one appointment you booked me last time. She's like, your appointment in 2 hours. And I told her I don't want to be late, So she's like, well, you can come back. I'm like, I can't wait here. It's okay. So I sat there. The mayor came in, and then I told the mayor, my name is Oballa Oballa. I'm a student at Riverland. I just moved in town. I'm just introducing myself. Is there anything I can do for the city of Austin? the mayor looked at me, and then he looked back. He looked at the clerk, and then he's like, "Did someone send you?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, no one sent me," because he thought maybe I'm someone spying or something. It's like, in my 7 years of being in this leadership, I've never seen a young kid, especially from immigrant community, come and ask me why or what he can do for the community.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "What motivates you, Oballa? What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
And then I have this quote from one of the President J.F. Kennedy. He keep repeating in his quote. He said, "Do not ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country."
Yeah.
So I've been so grateful that I am in this country, and then America has done so much for me. Now I'm in a town that I call home. I want to be involved. I want to show the part of immigrant that, hey, we are here. We are part of this community. So the mayor was like, "Well, Oballa, welcome to Austin." So that friendship, it went on. And then 6 months later, he appointed me on Human Rights Commission. I get to hang out with police commissioner. I get to learn every police in Austin. How long have you been here? So we are kind of like changing the narrative about Austin, because Austin not used to be the same when I moved in there.
Yeah.
So that's how I get involved in politics and community engagement.
Just back on, man. So first of all, shout out to you, because there's only a couple of us that like to show up on time to places. Mine was sports that got me into showing up on time to places, because if you're late, it's like, I forgot what the carry. If you're 15 minutes. If you're 15 minutes early, you're late, because you got to change, all that stuff. So I'm always early to places, and the sport's been on that. But a lot of people nowadays, like especially from our background, there's no time, you know?
No.
Hey, the thing starts at 4.
Yep.
Like last summer, there was a wedding or something.
Yep.
Baby shower, one of them two, and it's supposed to start at, let me just make up a time, 1 o'clock.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be there at 12:45, maybe help out set up little things that's left, That thing did not start till 5 or 6.
Yep.
And I said, I'm not coming.
They still call people back from Africa. Hey, we will be going to this person baby shower. What is time in Africa? Be like, oh, it's like this. Oh, it's still time. I still time. So
no, I don't like that at all. So all you out there, please learn your time. At least when you're messing with someone like us, because we like to show up, a little early. He's way earlier than me. I won't show up 2 hours early, but that's awesome. That's how you actually get opportunities too, because it knows that you're serious,
Yes.
So, and then for me, going back to the leadership question, what I defined as a leader, what was it? Yeah, defined as a leader. I don't have a definition. It's someone who, instead of, telling people what to do, it's someone out there in front with the people,
Yes.
And that's the characteristic of a leader that I like. And also, like you said, I don't really like that word leader, right? Because let's say you're a leader of a group. When something unfortunate happens to you, now that group is in shambles, because it's like, what happens with that group now? So I always like to be a part of something that everyone with whether you're there or not, it can still go. So that's what I stress a lot on that. Now, going back on the education part and everything, I want to learn a little bit about your Riverland experience, over there in Austin, Minnesota. Tell me about Riverland.
Well, Riverland is a place I call home. It's because of Riverland where that I am here today. But before that, I want to shout out to Job Corps, the program that really helped me to see what American look like and what is America. So before I moved to Austin, I enrolled in a program called Job Corps in South Dakota. So and that's where I get my my high school diploma, and also get my GED, and get my trained medical assistant and CNA, whereby certified nursing assistant. In Job Corps, everything is military rules. You're not supposed to walk on the grass. If you walk on the grass, you get fined $5. If you curse at anyone, that's a suspension. So because that is like a respect that you don't see in any high school training. So for me, coming from Africa, those are the things that we've been told, and this is how it is. So it wasn't really a struggle for me. And the big thing I like about that, it gives my space, because they like in America you can just say anything to your teacher, but I'm like, in Africa your teacher can say anything to you, but you don't respond. You respond, you are out. Because, and I remember always, how many times I get whooped when I was back with by my teachers. So in Job Corps, I learned what American look like. So, and I just want to shout out in the education that I get there. My foundation started at Box Elder Job Corps in Rapid City. So, and it because of that, I get my high school diploma within 9 months or 26 credit.
Yeah.
So at night I just study. And I try not to speak Anuak for almost 9 months. I have my little brother and Guinan, they will try to bother me, and then Guinan will come with his own terminology. I'm like, hey, I like to hear that. But that guy, he liked to talk more Anuak. I'm like, I will not forget Anuak, the Dainua or anything. Speak to me in English, man. So, and that's how I started learning English. So, and then I moved to Riverland, whereby I started there. My experience at Riverland was really amazing because I got welcomed by every teacher, because I already started a base in the community. I already show my image in the community. Hey, this is Oballa. I am here. So, and then when I went to Riverland, I told every teacher, hey, I don't have a lot of background of education, but I am here to learn. Anything you want me to do, I will do it. So I'm very, working with every teacher. So, and from there, everything went well. And I started getting more involved on Riverland. And the biggest thing that I work on with other students was food insecurity.
Yeah.
Because we struggle with food insecurity. College student, they struggle with food insecurity. And we opened the first food pantry at Riverland. And that one become a national thing. So through that process, it went viral. So
man, we needed you back when I went to Riverland, man. It was thank God I'm from Austin, so I was at my parents' house, my dad's house. But a lot of the kids that come from, inner city, whether it's from Milwaukee, that's where one of my really good friends is from, and all other cities, they came to play sports. But some of us didn't work. So food is just like, we work together. Okay, I got something. I got a little change. Let's go get some McDonald's. Burgers used to be $1, and things of that nature. So that's actually very awesome that you worked on that first food pantry there, because, man, we were struggling. We were very struggling.
And that was the reason. And I focus on athlete. Athlete, they're doing so much. They go, and sometimes they will go to practice. They don't have anything. I did my own survey with athlete, and they're like, I'm like, hey guys, if I ask you those personal questions, will you be able to answer? Because I'm struggling with it, you know. And because I remember there's a day I was going to pay for my tuition, my books and everything, and I had almost $1,080 cash in change. That was I take out all my saving. I went to the bookstore. And then there's a kid behind me. He's like, Oballa, you're rich, because I have them in change, $50. It looked like that.
It looked like that.
And then it's like, you're rich. I'm like, in 2 minutes I will be poor.
Yeah.
So I paid. The only thing get back from my change was $1.50. So, and then that $1.50, I went to cafeteria, and then the lady in cafeteria, I was looking at the menu. Everything said in big word. $2, $3, and then I tried to bargain. In Africa, you're trying to bargain.
You bargain everything.
Bargain everything. I look at it, I'm like, how much is the French fry? I know it's already like $1.50. How much is the French fry? She's like, well, it's $1.50. I'm like, what about if you add the chicken nugget? She's like, that need another $1. That's $2.50. I'm like, can you make both with $1.50?
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, Bala, it's the price is fixed. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So I cry inside, because two minutes ago I was having a lot of money that I can buy any food on the menu. But now I cannot afford something that costs $1.50. And then there's this student behind me is like, Oballa, we can, put together my $1 and then your $1.50 so that we can buy. We bought those French fry and chicken nugget. Hey, when you eat the food while you're broke, it tastes way better. It tastes so nice. So, and then the student was like, Oballa, you're student president, right? I'm like, yeah. It's like, everyone is going through this. What are you going to do about it? I'm like, what are you talking about? As a young African, we don't talk about food insecurity because it's stigma around there. Hey, you're grown up, you should find a job. You're a college student, you should find a second job. But we are struggling. We have paying for textbook, and that cost me so much pain. Sometimes I miss my class, and then I'm like, hey, what do you want me to do about it? He's like, well, we can do something. I'm like, well, I need to think about it. So I give them ideas, and then I told them, give me 1 minute, and then I will get back.
Back to you. Yep.
A week later, I came back, and then I went to Human Rights Commission. I did presentation. So, and then they give me 1,000. I'm like, we are struggling at the school. The 1,000 you give me now can change a lot of lives. So that 1,000, I went back to my advisor and asked, what can we do with this?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you can buy pizza. I'm like, a pizza would be one-time thing. So what I decided was that we can do a survey asking every student. If I will get more than 50 students that say they struggle with food insecurity, we will start something. Hey, I took my own money. I give the 1,000, the check to my advisor. And then the next day on Wednesday, because that's where we see a lot of students, almost 150, I bought pizza stuck like this. And then I'm like, I posted every class, in the main cafeteria, pizza for free, come and grab. Within 5 minutes, it's gone.
Hey,
and that's where
taking multiple.
people taking, and that's when I realized something need to be done. So 6 months later, we opened the food pantry. And that food pantry right now, like everyone is serving almost 500 students every month.
Yeah.
So
wow, man, awesome. Congrats. That's really awesome. Like I don't even know what to say. That's dope, man. That's really dope. So keep doing things of that nature. I wish, like I said, wish we had you back then. But I was working at Hy-Vee at that time, so it kind of helped out a little bit, But working at Hy-Vee, school work, and also trying to play basketball, that was kind of crazy. One thing I would say, I'm gonna give a big shout out now to Riverland, because I started out there. I did 2 years at Riverland, then I transferred to Eau Claire. Riverland was very interesting. A lot of different characters coming together at once, and I'm learning things from different backgrounds. Because, like you said, Austin used to be predominantly white, right? When I was on the Austin basketball team, on the varsity, it was one black guy, all white guys, right? I was the only black guy. I mean, there's like the younger guys, but they didn't play at that time. And then after a couple of years passed, I looked at a picture again. It's all people, immigrants, and then you have like a couple of white guys. I'm like, wow, that's crazy how things have changed, over time. So, and big shout out to Hormel, because I went to Riverland. I don't know if they're still doing it for free, where if you're from Austin High School, they give you a scholarship, and then you can add on top of it with the student. What is this? The money that they give you. So, big shout out to that for the kids who go to Austin. Let me give you a statistic. They always say, out of college, the minimum debt, like the average debt people come out of is, I believe it's like 30-some thousand average. Now, if you can go to school for 2 years for free, you cut that down, and then depending on where else you go to school at and what you're going, how long you go for. But I would take that as an advantage, because that's an opportunity that a lot of people sometimes look down.
Tell those kids in Austin right now, because we have especially the immigrant kid that they want to live in a bigger city when they go to a town like Austin. And this is my message to you. I work for Hormel. I have all the advantage of working in that beautiful company. If you can go to college for free for 2 years, say thank you, God, because those money you can save, you can reduce all the stress that you have to pay for it. Hey, Riverland right now, they have every career that you can go. It's starting from accounting, being whatever you want to be. So you can, even being a nurse, you can get that for free. So for all kids in Pechali, Austin High School, use those opportunity, apply, get your community service hours. It's not a lot. It's, I believe, almost above 30 something hours. Complete it, apply for the scholarship. It's free.
It's free. I don't know. Like you said, it's free, man. So I would definitely look into that. And don't be so excited to go to a bigger city, which is very enticing. I get it. But I had to work 3 jobs when I went to Eau Claire just to maybe save $50 at the end of the month. So you gotta be careful, but take opportunities that are given to you and make what's best of it. So that's what I would say about that one. Now, tell me a little bit about LeadMN. What is that, and how you were involved with it heavily? So you're the former president of that, right?
Yes.
So tell me, what is that organization?
LeadMN is College Student Connecting for Change. They serve all the 2 years community and technical college in Minnesota. So they are the umbrella of all our 2 years community college. So their work is to advocate for the student, those who are going for 2 years, either for textbooks, affordability, tuition affordability, and so on. I got involved with LeadMN because I'm a student at Riverland, and they're under that umbrella. And through my involvement at Riverland, starting from being student senate president, opening the first food pantry, I decided to run for the statewide because this is statewide. So, and I ran for the vice president after my year at Riverland, and then I get elected as a vice president. And then the reason why I want to work with LeadMN statewide is to make sure every 2 years community college has a food pantry.
Food pantry, okay.
And I get elected in 2018. So, and then we start working, and through that process, the next year, 2020, and then I was the president for the organization.
Yeah.
And then we passed a legislation for Hunger Campus Act, which is, and then the governor signed it into law.
Wow.
Every 2 years community college will have a food pantry. So I had to meet with the governor, meet with the senators, tell them my story. It is real. Just because you think we depend on ramen noodles, sometimes you don't have $2 to buy those ramen noodles.
Yeah.
So, and then thank God they pass it, and they have money now, grants. So, and with LeadMN, that's how I learned so much about leadership. So I had to travel to every campus in Minnesota, and then I had the opportunity to visit White House, just to talk to, the president over there and about the student in Minnesota. And so LeadMN was everything, LeadMN was everything.
That's crazy. You had a law that's a bill, something that was passed, and now it's law that they got to have a a food pantry after 2 years. That's amazing. I've never had any law change, so I can't say nothing to you about that. What I was about to say is you're also you were 2020 Minnesota State College and University Board of Trustee, right?
Yes.
I was like trying to figure out what does that mean, man? What does that mean?
So Board of Trustee, they oversee the all 2 years community college and universities. So they get appointed by the governor.
Wow.
So they're in charge of passing the law, actually, and then tell the governor this is what we'll be working for. Let's say there's a curriculum that need to be added in University of Minnesota. It has to pass through Board of Trustee. If we're selecting the chancellor, it has to go through the Board of Trustee. So after the work I've done, then I was done with LeadMN. LeadMN, people ask me, why don't you apply for Board of Trustee? And then I applied, and guess what? I get a call from the governor. Usually it's supposed to be the staff of the governor, but the governor was like, hey, Oballa, because he visited Austin, and then he already knows me, and then every time he come to Austin, he'd be like, this is the kid with the first name and last name. And then
first name, last name, yeah.
And then he's called me, hey, Oballa, guess what? I'm going to appoint you on Board of Trustee. I'm like, who is this? He's like, Governor Tim Wall. I'm like, oh, when will that be? He's like, when are you starting? I'm like, I'm ready now. So,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I went on. So I've been on Board of Trustee for almost 2 years. So, and it's going well, and everything I've learned from there, it transformed in every leadership. So, and when I become a citizen in 2019, I become a U.S. citizen. 6 months later, I run for the office, and that will be your next question. I don't know if you want to ask that. So and then that's how everything went. So I've been on Board of Trustee, and then trying to see the policy on every campus, if it is working for a student or not.
Yeah. Now, again, we'll just go right into it. Tell us about you being involved in the city council running for that. Tell us about all that whole experience, because I don't even know where to even begin in that. You told me, yo, run for this. I'll be like, where do I sign? What? You won't even know where to start, So tell us about your experience during that time and everything that came with it.
Yeah, so as I mentioned in my conversation that we started, I like being involved because, being busy helped me learn a lot of stuff. So, and my first experience with Austin, Austin is home. So I try to learn every language in Austin, every person in Austin, who are they? Why are they here? So, and always, I want to help, but I don't know what exactly fit me. Who is Oballa?
Yeah.
What Oballa will do? I like being in a student, but when a student is done, what will I do? And then in 2019, December, I passed my citizenship. I took the oath, and then I become neutralized, and then I'm a U.S. citizen now. The mayor called me in the evening. He's like, Oballa, did you get your paper? I'm like, yes, I get my paper. He's like, do you know what next? I'm like, what next? He's like, run for office. Now you are American citizen. You can run for office. I'm like, what office do you want me to run for? He's like, any office. It could be school board, but I want you to run for city council. I'm like, what? City council? And then he's like, well, you always attend the meeting. You already know what's going on.
Yeah.
So you want to come join us? I'm like, well, tell me more. So I sat down with the mayor, and then I had some friends of mine, those who were on the city council already. And then I have my mentors from LeadMN, Mike Dean, and Jason Baskin, who is, city council in Austin. Then Laura Hell. So, and then the person that to run in a position in that ward, I talked to her. I am like, are you going to run for the next election for a rerun? She's like, are you thinking of running? I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking of running.
Yeah.
She's like, well, if you're thinking of running, I'm not gonna run. I'm like, are you sure?
Sure. Are you sure about this?
and then she's like, yeah, I'm sure. Oballa, everyone wants you on the city council.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what do I do? He's like, well, this is how you do it. You campaign, you tell people why you want to do it, and then you will get elected. And then I'm like, how many votes do I need? He's like, everyone vote for you to get elected.
Yeah.
So it was during pandemic, and I got a lot of positive energy coming in from people, and then people blasting me on social media. Oballa, this is too much. You just become a citizen. How do you even know about America? Why are you running? That's too early for you. And then some people, they're close friends, you know. And then one other person that I sat down with, and then he's like, kid, you need to stay here at least 10 years. Running for city council will not help you. You're not going to win. Especially Austin, they never been elected a black person before.
Yeah.
Do you know what I told that person was that I don't have to live in America for 10 years or 20 years to run for office.
Yeah.
The document prove that I have the document, I can run for office anytime.
Yeah.
So this is my time to run for office.
Yeah.
So I did the campaign, and I went to every door. I knocked every door, and then election came out, and then I won the most vote. The first young person to be elected on the city council, and then the first immigrant, and then the first person of color.
Yeah.
So that was send a message that
dope,
anything in America can happen if you put a work in.
Yeah.
So I didn't believe it when they announced it. I look at everyone is like, Oballa is a city council elected. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
So that's how it happened.
Man, that's awesome. But what I took away from that is even people that are close to you, might be a friend, they might not see the vision that you always have, right?
Yes.
And it's good to have a strong mindset on your belief in what you want to do, because you might like I always tell this story to people. I'm like, okay, imagine the first guy that said, I want to build an airplane when there's no airplanes at all. They're like, something to fly, take us over there, and they're like, you're crazy, we got horses. They couldn't think past some of the things that what they know. That's where education gives you more broader things. So awesome for you to keep that strong mindset, to keep going. I don't care what the next person say I can do. Maybe wait 10 years. Imagine if you listen and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna wait 10 years. Where would you be now?
Yeah.
So it's good to be bold.
Yeah, it's good to be bold. And those are the things that we struggle with. If you don't have that mindset, I have my own mindset. If I put my mind into that, hey, I can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to be, in this position to do that, you know. And even when I start thinking, I'm like, one day I will build my house in America. Yeah. A friend of mine was like, hey, man, have you seen an African build their own house? Why don't build back home? I'm like, my home is here now. Yeah. I will build one day. So it's like, Oballa, where will you get that kind of money? Do you know it's cost too much? I'm like, I will work for the money. Yeah. In America, you just work, you know? And, but at the end of the day, those friends now that when I bought my land, I'm like, hey, I'm going to buy a land. And then it's like, where? Back home? I'm like, yeah, in America. He's like, this kid, you are too much with everything. Where will you get the money? I'm like, hey, I pull out my receipt. I'm like, done. I
Yeah.
bought the land already. So, and then I will build my own house
Yeah.
because my wife always wanted, she's like, when we buy a house, I want my design to be like
Like
this,
this.
to be like this. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build a house for my family.
Yeah.
So, and guess what? We started from foundation.
Yeah.
Now we have our own home.
Man, congratulations. That's awesome, man. That's pretty good. That not pretty good. That's amazing, you know? Because I love the tenacity that I'm gonna keep going. No matter what you tell me, I'm gonna keep going. And that a lot of people don't have that in society nowadays.
Yep.
You might tell a kid, okay, you know, like, nah, man, don't listen to what listen to some of your elders,
Yep.
but sometimes if they're going against your belief, you can discard that, you know? I saw you last time at the shop also, you know, you're getting a haircut. I'm like, Oballa, what are you doing here, man? I'm getting a haircut. I was just at the St. Paul getting, I think there's a book, right? That you're a part of or you're in it. Tell me about that book.
Well,
you know,
this is the book.
I was about to say what you got
Austin,
here.
Our America.
Okay.
So this is the book. So the book, they have written a book called Our Austin, Our America. So the book is to embrace the diversity that they had in Austin. As you said, you live in Austin, you know, in your early age, you know, and you mentioned it was predominantly, you know, white. Now in Austin, we have more than 50 something languages, you know. So from speaking only English and then the second language was Spanish, now we have more than 50 language in Austin High School. So, and that's the work that when I start learning about Austin, I keep going to everyone, you know. If I heard my neighbor who they're from Cranny, which they come from Burma refugee, I want to learn about their culture. You know, I want to learn about the Native, you know, Native American, you know, those kids who are born in Austin, you know, they're the only kid who, the only thing they know is being in Austin. I go to them, I sit down with them, I'm like, what are your stories? You know, how can I relate my story to your story? So they wrote this book to embrace the diversity and the you know, the work that the people of Austin has done to bring the Austin way it is now. So and I was asked, hey Oballa, we want to put you in the book. And because I'm like, what do I have to do to be in the book? So they're like, well, we have your story. Do you wanna sign the consent? I'm like, hey, you don't need to ask me twice. Put me in it there. So the book came out and they were doing an exhibit in at the state capitol. Will be there until June. So if you have time, it'll be on the third floor at the state capitol. So, and then they have a big picture of me, big banner. When you go in there, is Oballa holding something. So I'm like, I went in there. So yeah, that's about the book. So I brought a copy here so you can glance through it.
Okay, awesome. And for the people who do not know, because the state capitol is in St. Paul, y'all. Please don't. I know sometimes they be like, oh, it's Minneapolis. It's just thinking, no, it's in St. Paul. Please go to St. Paul if you're looking for this. And another thing that's very important, I was on TikTok one day. This probably I don't know how long ago it was, but maybe let's say last summer, right? The summer that has passed. And somebody took, you know our culture dance.
Yes.
And they remixed it with American music. And you were there, you know, you were dancing. And it's like, I'm going to see if I can find it on TikTok and do it. It was Chungy, I think, that did it. It was so awesome and it went along with it. But what I got from this, I think it was called The Taste of Nation, right?
Yes.
Now, that's a lot of cultures being put together to showcase diversity and everything, right? Can you explain how important is culture to you? How important is it and how does it dictate, you know, some of the things that you do?
Yeah, culture to me is who I am, who is Oballa. So knowing where I came from and knowing what, you know, my my background, that's a culture. Like the food I eat, the language that I speak, and the dance that I dance, you know, I do. So that's culture. So Taste of Nation is bringing all the cultures within Austin. If you are from Germany, you know, what are your culture in Germany? If you are from Norwegian, so we are bringing all those cultures together, you know, and then everyone will show their case, you know, dress the way how your culture look like. So, and people will dance. And every time they ask me about traditional dance, hey, I'm very good in it. You're
good. You got to teach us, man.
So in Austin, we have that Taste of Nation every year, and the upcoming one will be May 20. So we'll be at the Banfield, so in Austin. So everyone is welcome to be there. So that's what we do, trying to celebrate everyone diversity.
Yeah, no, you got to teach us a dance. Guys like me, Akeem,
got
and
you.
some other guys. I mean, I went to a wedding. I'm like, oh, I don't want to embarrass myself and go dance. But I'm a lame right now, I know all the other dances, but don't know your culture dance the best, So you got to teach us that. So
Yeah.
we're going to we're just going to make you do it.
Yeah.
Now, a couple more questions before, we wrapping some of this up, right? I want to know what inspires you and motivates you, or is there somebody that you look up to? Like a lot of people like, oh, I do this because of Martin Luther King or something like that. What inspires you and motivates you, or who does too?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and for me, I think the person who inspired me always my mom. My mom never went to school, and then my mom, she never had all those opportunity, and then she raised us by herself in life in refugee. As a young man, your mother always look at you and be like, what can he be? At my early age, I did not have that opportunity to go to school, and then I being treated as the dumb kid in town. They call me Farah. Even I have some of my friends back home, even they're here in the state now. When I'm back home, this word in Amharic is called Farah. You're Farah, that guy is Farah. Basically, in I don't know that term in this color, like you're retarded, because you don't have that form of education or anything, you are backward, because at my early age, people think the way I do think, because I don't have that form, because I grew up in a village, and a lot of my friends, they grew up in Gambela town. So through my life in refugee camp, I used to fight with some reason because of my brother, him and I take things easily, but my brother, he will fight and then he get bullied. I don't like people bullying me. I don't like people bullying someone in front of me. So, and back home, it's not here in America, whereby you fight, you go to jail, or someone will stop you right away. Back home, if you bully someone and someone confront you, they will give you the whole 1 hour and fight until you give up, whoever give up. So, and I built myself like that. If you try to mess with me, I need 1 hour with you. Either you beat me or I beat you. So, but that changed. So my mom told me one day, Oballa, you need to stop using your hand. Start using your mind, because every day you're fighting because your brother being bullied, someone being bullied. When will you start fighting for yourself, like your own? Because no one can come to you and tell you in front of you. They always talk behind you. Yeah. And then she's like, when people talk behind you, that means they're afraid to come in front of you. So my mom gave me those ideas, to be a strong man, you have to think positive, do this. And then she's like, one day I want to see you like this. She compared me with some people, big people in the community. And I'm like, I don't know them. I just want to be me one day. So all this time I'm trying to prove myself, like, what do my mom want Oballa to be? When I was back home, my hair is pierced. Here I have like bling bling, and then I try to fit in every my peers, and then I end up even putting a blink in my mouth. And then my mom was like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's fake, mom. Yeah. So, but when I learned it in America here, in New York, I thought of myself, life in refugee is gone. I would be like, I told my mom, from today, that was our last flight from New York to Washington, D.C. I told my mom, looking forward, don't think Oballa in refugee camp. That's gone. I'm a different person. I pray to God. I'm like, anything that will come my way, I will be positive, and I will try to make my mom happy. So through all this year, I'm like, I didn't grow up with a dad or anything. If I see someone giving me some advice, I will take it. And I've been trying to prove myself that I can be anything. And then those dreams, my mom will wake me up in the middle of the night. What are you thinking to do tomorrow? And I'm like, well, I'm thinking to do that. So, and I will tell her everything, So, because she's like, she will always tell me that if I had opportunity to go to school, I will be like this person. So I'm like, Mom, I can do that for you. Yeah. So.
Nah, that's awesome, man. So shout out to your mom. That's great. Well, One last question in the leadership in this kind of conversation way. When I saw you at the, when you're getting a haircut, you're like, I want to talk to people that we should let them know that they should get involved,
Yes.
And what is your message to the people? Like, how should they get involved, or what can they do to get involved, and why should they get involved? Because I know some kids, you tell them right now, hey, you should get involved in this, because then you can change laws maybe down the line. They would look at you like, that's not me. I'll leave that to the politician guys, So why should students get involved in, whether it's leadership programs or even into areas in the politics area?
Yeah, I think people should get involved because when you go to school, you're going to get the paper, the document. The paper will not read itself, because people should get involved for two reasons. Going to school is to get that paper, but mostly in America is who you know, not mostly what you know. So I want people to get involved because they care about the environment they're in. They want to change something they believe into. Especially our youth. And like you now, you are getting involved. You are bringing me to your podcast, and then this message will go out there. Other people will hear it. We have our friend there standing behind the camera. Is getting involved. Is changing life through his camera creativity. So people should get involved to change other people's life, because you never know. A word you say to someone can be, the breakthrough for them.
There,
Because right now people will be like, hey, that not for me. That is for politician. No, politician will not fix us.
Yeah.
To be honest, especially in American politics, they will not fix us. It's the community that you live in that you will fix yourself. If you see your neighbor, he or she is sick during snow and that they cannot shovel their own snow. You cannot call your congressman to shovel their
snow. Hey, come shovel the snow.
You have to go and ask them, hey, can I help? And then help them out. This my first winter being a homeowner. I had my neighbor, I only have one shovel, to do that, but he has the machine for his snowblower. And then I thought I can do it with my manpower, But snow came and it was just here. And then he's like, Oballa, you cannot pass through that. Let me help you out. And then he used his snowblower to throw that out. And then there's a day he was gone. And then he didn't know the snow will come. And then I'm like, I have my shovel. I brush it out. And then he comes and like, what? Who did it? I didn't tell him. And then he's like, I knew it. It's this kid. Those things, because you never know, is your neighbor, is your friends. Teach them, tell them something that connect them with resources, because no one know what will fit in them.
That's the reason why I even started the podcast later on too. That I want to be able to connect people like you. If a kid is very interested in what you want to do, I'd be like, yo, here's Oballa for that. I want it to be a networking event where we're all helping each other. And like you said, like you going to shovel, your neighbor's snow, right? And him helping out the snowblower is it makes me happy, because it's like when I came to America, not a lot of people, you don't know your neighbor like that. But back at home, you know everybody.
You know everybody.
Where you're from. Your kid is basically my kid, so I'm gonna watch them and see what they're doing, and they can get in trouble both ways. So when I hear stuff like that, it makes me happy, man. So no, that's congratulations to you guys. Keep that going. Now, Mama, what is next, Oballa? Your future is so bright. You got a lot of avenues you can go. What is next for you? Because I just saw that you were speaking at Harvard, like doing speaking engagements and things like that. Actually, touch on that and then tell us, what do you have in the plan for the future,
Well, thank you, Golet. Shout out. I had an opportunity to go to Harvard 2 weeks ago. So it's like, I don't know, because I didn't know my story inspire other people out there. I always try to compete with myself, to be honest, as I mentioned, my mom, I give a lot of credit to my mom, because I'm competing with myself. I feel like something my right hand has done, but my left hand has not heard of it, and every morning I'm thinking of what else, what thing that I haven't learned about it yet. I'm still learning English. I'm still learning everything. So, because believe me, 9 years ago when I moved to this country, I barely speak English and I didn't have any high school diploma. I moved here with only one pen and one shirt. So, and it's that one day I can make it there. So I went to Harvard and they called me, they reach out to me. They're like, hey, Oballa, some of our students been following you. So we want you to come share your story with us. I'm like, is this real Harvard? Or a different one? But the email say from Harvard. And then I'm like, hey, call me on the phone to confirm. Is this a scam or something? So the student president, they call. I'm like, I need 2 people from Harvard that will be on the speaker so that I will confirm. You know.
Yeah.
They both on the speaker. They're like, hey, my name is so and so, and then her name is Amen Gashoa. She's from Ethiopia, and then the other one is from Nigeria. And then he's like, hey, we're Harvard student, and then we're hosting a multicultural event, so we want you to come and speak to our student. So I'm like, how many students? Is it 2 of you or what? So
You're wild,
and then they're like, roughly will be around 400 and 3 to 400 students.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, there you go. So and I'm like, wow. So Harvard, I'm like, send me official invitation from Harvard with a logo. Hey, they send me, and
Still
then I'm
think
like,
you can
I can't
scam.
believe it. And I read, I'm like, hey. And then I ask one of my mentors, he's like, Harvard, reach out to me. He's like, ask them if they can pay for you. I asked them, how much are you paying for me or whatever? And then they're like, what is your service? I'm like, hey, I will come for free to Harvard. I told them that, to be honest with you, because I never thought in my life I will be speaking to Harvard student.
Yeah.
So I went there, and guess what? It wasn't only Harvard. It's all Ivy League school. They have Yale, Columbia University, they have Howard University, and then they have Tufts University, Brown University, and almost 6 Ivy Leagues. And they all dress so nice. The English they speak is different from Minnesota. So, and I asked one of them, do they have any Minnesota student here? None of them. I'm like, when will Harvard come to Minnesota? So I'm like, so I was so excited. And I went there not to teach them, but to tell them my story. Because what can you teach an Harvard student? They already done a lot of research. They went to those colleges with, coming from a big family, who went to generation of education, so on and so forth. So I went them share my story, I'm that kid who moved here 9 years ago with nothing. And now I'm start learning English. This is my story.
Yeah.
And this is my American story. And this is my background.
Yeah.
So, and that inspire because kid in Harvard, because if they can see me go through that and make it, to where I am today within 9 years, so they can be anything, because Harvard itself, one of their students invented Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg was, I told them, the same room we're talking in now, Mark Zuckerberg was here while he was thinking about creating Facebook. So, and what next can you do as a Harvard student? Because everyone is looking after you guys when you graduate. So your story can inspire a lot of people there.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Now, okay, that is a speaking engagement. Is that what you want to get into? Just speaking?
Not really. I think I want to build a bigger foundation. I'm still learning. I still want to get involved more. Maybe if God, I will go back to politics. Helping out, because there's a lot of change that need to be done around Austin and also around the community. And I just want to inspire people to be involved and be the change.
Okay, awesome. Now, what should people, if there's something that I missed, let me know, because that's what I had for you. I feel like, that we covered a lot. Is there anything that I missed that you would like to elaborate on, maybe, or anything?
No, I just want to say thank you. And for our listeners out there, the one thing that I will tell you guys is that America is the land of opportunity, but opportunity doesn't come for free. You don't expect your neighbor to come give you $100 to be whoever you want. You have to go out there and seek those opportunities, especially as a refugee like me, who came to this country with no English. Go to school, humble yourself, because in this country, there are always a lot of good people in America. And a lot of people don't know that. If you humble yourself and, follow the law, and ask for questions, someone that you don't know will help you out there.
Absolutely.
So be real, and don't lie. In America, you don't lie. Don't tell them you have a degree in humanitarian. If you don't, they know, because in Africa, you can fake it. You can't fake it in America. Okay, so, and don't tell people you go to Harvard to speak, and you don't. Hey, I have the picture if you want to confirm. Because,
no, I got it. We're gonna put it on there. I got you.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing in this country. You have to be honest and be real with people. Humble yourself. Open the door wherever you go, and then if you see opportunity, call other friends. Show them, because that's how we grow, and that's how we are changing this country and how we are changing ourselves.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming through, man. I appreciate that so much. For other people that are watching here, I hope you learned something from this. You know, a story that someone who came from, you know, a lot of adversity, you know, things that could have just shut them down, you know, but you just kept going. And you just see, when you keep going and have that mindset that I'm going to achieve something one day, nothing can stop you but yourself, you know?
Yep.
God will open doors for you somewhere. And the one thing that I really like about you, like you said, you know, you ask questions.
Yep.
Sometimes people don't understand, like, when someone is asking me questions, I want to be a mentor. I like that because I know that he wants it.
Yep.
And when the kid wants it, you help them.
Yep.
And you will get help. Just ask the right person a question. It might not be me. I might know Chris.
Yep.
You know, somebody I can send you to. So keep asking questions and make yourself available and humble yourself. And I appreciate you for coming from Austin. You know, I just did a speaking engagement at Harvard, and you come to the kitchen over here to have a conversation. So if you're looking for someone to come speak at your next event, hit them up. So we'll put his information all over there. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And I hope, you know, everything goes as well, you know, for you in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. And I want to shout out to Chris. Thank you for all you do, and looking forward to connect with you. I'm getting my real estate soon. I just heard a background of you. You are doing all those amazing pictures in getting the houses. When I get it, hey, you are my next. So there you go.
Yep. So you guys have a good one. Peace out, man. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on all platforms. And we're going out from there. Yep.